All right. So this piece can be broken down into really 4 main sections. There is a lot of pattern play going on here, and of course it's based in D major, or more specifically in D5, jumping in octaves. So as a reminder, D5 is when, for the right hand, you put your thumb on D, left hand, pinky on D, and you're going to make sure your 3rd fingers are on the F sharp. There is only one moment where your right hand goes outside of the D5 position, and we'll come to that later. So our first section is actually going to be bars 1 to 4, and it's 2 bars that repeat twice. Now you want to be careful in this piece because your left hand is actually in the treble clef, and that doesn't change until the second last bar. So when you're reading the notes at first, you may go, oh, maybe I need to be down here, but actually you need to be all the way up here, okay? So we actually start in treble and middle D5. Now, if you take a look at the right hand for those first 2 bars, just focusing on the first 2 bars, you'll see we're staying in this D5 position. There's that accent mark there, so we really want to make sure that we put some power behind that E. You're putting pressure, you're emphasizing, but you're not banging it. Your left hand is actually playing around with some D chords. So you have your tonic chord here broken and staccato. That's basically the pattern of the first bar. The second bar is 5 and 1, 2 over here. Now the actual pattern looks like this. So if you can get this pattern in the right hand for the melody, and the left hand, then with time and some patience, you can try and connect the 2. Remember, the right hand doesn't play, the left hand actually starts, and then they come together on beat 2. And we're just going to echo that quietly for bar 3 and 4. All right, so that's the first section. Don't play too fast to start. Take it nice and slow. Make sure you know where you're going and what your hands are doing in each chunk before trying to speed it up. In fact, make sure the whole piece is together before you really try and speed it up so that it's all at the same tempo. Okay, the next section is bars 5 to 8. Again, we have 2 bars that repeat, mezzo forte to piano, so we have a quiet echo. But now the right hand's going to do something a little bit tricky. So let's talk about the left hand first. Your left hand just finished doing this. So going from those broken triads, we're now going to play blocked. The nice thing is they're whole notes, so you're just going to push them down and hold them. Our first one is a tonic root chord in D5. Our second one, you can actually think of it more as just not playing the F sharp. Okay, that's a 7 chord. So we're going tonic, 7 chord, tonic, 7 chord. Okay, that will take some practice. It can be tricky to play 4 notes all at once. Okay, then you have your right hand. We've still got this wonderful start, but our hands are going to jump positions up into what we know as G5, but it's just so we can reach these 2 notes, the A and the D. So it's going to do this. Shift. Let's take a look at that just a little bit slower. Shift. So really you want to anchor the idea of the second finger being on this A. Now this is prep B, so we don't talk too much about the theory behind reading a note that's above 2 ledger lines like this. So all you really need to know is that is the high, high D up there. Also notice that D also has an accent mark. So it's not just staccato, it's a strong staccato. Then we're going to come in and repeat quietly. You're still going to have that emphasis on that D, but it's going to be a little bit less. Putting these together is a little bit easier because the left hand is just pressing and holding there. The biggest challenge is because your left hand is pushing down so many notes at once, it makes a lot of noise. And we need to make sure the right hand is heard over the left hand. We want this guy to be pretty quiet, but not so quiet that you can't hear him. Okay? Now, section 3 is actually just the next 2 bars. Okay? We are still using this. And in fact, we're staying in place this time. So we're no longer jumping up, but we're going to end a little bit differently. And now our left hand is going to do some moving. So here we are. Okay, so just like bar 5. That's bar 9 there. Okay, now bar 10, we've got some movement going on because we're going to be jumping around a bit. So the important thing about a piece where you start to jump around is knowing where you're going. And part of that, if you're at this level, we are now talking about chord progressions and tonic and dominant 7th chords. So let's take a little look at the left hand. We're going from our tonic, root position chord in D. We're going to tap this A because what is this A? Here's our tonic. This is our 5th, which makes this our dominant. So we're about to go into a dominant. So what's happening is here's our tonic, preparing to move. And now we're going to go into what would normally be a 5-7 chord. But we're just going to play the outside of it. Hear that? A and G. And then we're actually going to come back to our tonic with our D and F sharp with our 1st and 3rd fingers. So let's take a look at that progression again. Okay, you can see it's jumping quite a bit, so you really need to know, but it's all within this area. Okay, our right hand is basically just finishing a little bit differently. We're going to come back to the F sharp this time instead of the E. And now we're going to move our way down. Okay, this part is a little bit strange because we're shifting our hand. So we've just come off the 3rd finger on the F sharp. We're going back to it with our 5th. And then we're actually going to thumb tuck to the D. Okay, now because we're in staccato, that move, because it's going to be a little quicker, we're going to bounce, and you can either shift your hand, so the 1st finger's on the D, or you can thumb tuck. It's all going to depend on where you want to put the force on your thumb. Do you want it to be here on the side tip, which has a little more strength, and that's nice because that's our tonic note, or do you want to try and tap it with the back side a little bit, almost on your nail, which is going to have a little bit of a quieter sound. I know this is what I do. So the side of my thumb. Okay? Putting that section together, we have this. The nice thing is those chords, they're all on the beat. They're playing together. It's really this one you're going to need to take a look at. Sounds a little strange with that F sharp in there. Then we're going to come back here. Our final section is the tail wagging section, and it's clearly labeled tail wagging. The nice thing is we're back in D5 for this position, okay? And we're actually wagging our tails like this. The trickiest part here is the fact that you are seesawing between slightly different finger numbers on the two hands, okay? So make sure you have the direction correct. You're starting high, go low, high, low, high, low, jump, okay? The other thing that a lot of students struggle with is the count. There's 3 of those wags before ending on the top. And just to make life a little bit more interesting, it's piano. And then the song is quite quick. So not only do you need to put all those things together, you need to keep those notes together. As you speed up, you'll notice sometimes it gets a little bit harder and it gets really mucky if the notes aren't played at the same time. So you want to make sure you're really precise in the timing of your fingers coming together. And then, of course, we're going to end with this final D all the way down here. Just to say the end. Okay? So that section, jump. Be careful that your 5th finger is jumping down a whole octave and not just hitting this higher octave D. We don't want to be up here. We want to be down here. Okay? So take your time, do this in chunks, and you'll find that it comes together over time with some practice and some resilience. And make sure that you're gentle with yourself because, of course, we are playing in D5. We've got those F sharps and 1 C sharp that we want to make sure that we don't miss. You can, of course, mark your accidentals into the music if that gives you a helping hand to remember to find your sharps. But take it one step at a time, go slowly, and then once you've got the whole piece, you can work on speeding it up a little bit and bringing it up to performance ready. Good luck and have a great time playing with this playful puppy.